There is the guest of the day right there. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Side by Side. Today we are here with Rick Spencer, Mr. Rich Rules himself. How are you, buddy?
Good, man. Glad to be a part of it. That's what I always like to say.
Yeah, I'm glad that you made the trip down here. We're in Indiana. He, came down a little closer to me for this. We're at Badlands in Attica. Tell us what we're riding in today.
This is my 2022 Can-Am Maverick X3 XRS. Got a bunch of different stuff done to it. It's kind of a jack of all trades. I like to try and make it, but it's a jack of all breaking things too. So I'm kind of hard on stuff. Today it's in drivable condition, so that's good. But hopefully we can go out here and have some fun. I've only been here once, haven't really explored much, so hopefully we can see some new stuff and have a good time.
Well, I brought my buddy Brian with us. He is going to be our guide today. This is pretty much his backyard. He's here a lot. I mean, even when I checked in, the ladies at the front told me, hey, he's been coming here for a long time, and he likes to cause trouble, so watch out for him. So let's get this thing started, and we'll see you in the beginning. All right, guys, so we got Brian in front of us. He's our guide today, and we are here. It's kind of surreal for me to be sitting in this X3 next to you right now. I've watched so many videos, man, with you in them, and I can't thank you enough for making the trip out here and, for being on the show and doing this. Thank you so much, Rick. I really do appreciate it.
You bet, man. I appreciate your support. That's super cool. Things are a little bit different these days, but, change happens, so let's just play it in.
Yeah, and, sometimes things happen and we don't really see the end result or why they happened until much, much later.
Yeah.
And it always usually ends up being a good thing, especially, something that I've always noticed watching your stuff is you have the unique ability to turn pretty much any negative situation into a positive, or at least a funny situation.
Yeah, I try to, man. It's just, I don't want to be like a painting on a 21-year-old girl's wall, but, everything happens for a reason type thing, And you can dwell on bad stuff, or you can look at everything as an opportunity to get better and improve upon, and try and be optimistic and laugh stuff off, and just life's too short to be upset and mad at stuff and dwell on things. So do what you can to make it better.
Absolutely. So while we're to the trail, tell me a little bit about some of the modifications that you have done to this machine.
Oh man, this thing over the past year has gone through a whole different rendition. So last year it kind of started out as tune only X3, but right now it's about 300 horsepower. It's got a Whalen Speed built engine in it with a FP green turbo on it. It's running 93 octane. It's got their new MG1 ECU tuning for the factory 2022 ECUs. Runs great. It's got all CA Technology suspension on it. It's got G-Force Racing springs and their pump adjusters in the shocks. It's basically what I've always wanted out of an X3, just a turnkey, for the most part, go fast, do anything X3. So it's not the best at one particular thing, but it's pretty dang good at a lot of different stuff. So the suspension on it is super dialed in. It's very quick on the course. Straight line stuff, it's pretty fast. It's comfortable. You got good seats, harnesses in it, a cage. It's just a real enjoyable side-by-side to drive, so I really like it.
Yeah, my X3, man, once you get in one of those, it's so much different than everything else. And it feels like you're in a race car, like right out the gate.
Yeah, that's what I've always described the X3s as, like compared to other machines out there. You sit in it, and you just feel fast sitting there. Right. You're so low to the ground, you feel planted. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just a different experience. And I got my first X3 in 2019, and like every time I get into this thing, it's just still like, I got the same feeling like, I'm just chilling here, but it feels like I'm going fast doing nothing. So
Right. I asked a few people that I know watch you regularly if they had any questions. Some of them are pretty good, so I'm going to start with my buddy Blake from Real Talk Powersports. He wants to know, who makes your favorite cheeseburger?
wow, man, I'm probably upset a lot of people by saying this, but you just can't go wrong with a classic freaking McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese, man. Like, I think McDonald's is the only place on the face of the planet I could probably eat there every day and not get sick of their food. Like, Michigan has a good selection of, like, small mom and pop, old school, like, dive, restaurants that have good burgers, but
Right.
I just love a good Mickey D's freaking quarter pounder. It's hard to beat, man. It's hard to beat.
What drives you? What is it that motivates you to keep filming and putting videos out there for people to watch?
I don't know. I think I kind of have a unique perspective on what's entertaining. Like, I like doing kind of weird stuff that not a lot of people have done. I don't know. I just like kind of trying to do things that some people haven't done, or do things with assets that people haven't done. I don't know. And I also find a lot of the filming and documenting things kind of fulfilling. I like growing as a person and seeing attributable growth and like how the channel develops, and I don't know. I just like seeing growth and in various aspects, I guess. So when I'm not seeing that, that's kind of like something that drives me to do better and try and work harder. And I don't know. I guess there's a lot of stuff that motivates me, but there's not really one specific thing that I wake up to in the morning and I say, this is what drives me. There's a lot that goes into it. So.
Right. Well, when you're a creative person anyway, it's hard to not be motivated.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly, wanting to create something, wanting to do something, wanting to put something out there, wanting to share experiences with people, so as a creative person, man, it's you can get into ruts, certainly, for sure.
100%.
I think creative ruts, but, normally the way out of that is just forcing yourself to create more stuff.
Right. Yeah, you kind of got to try and look at the lens through a different perspective type thing. I mean, there's been videos that I've done that I thought were super entertaining, funny, cool, unique, and they were kind of flops, and it's
Right.
easy to get frustrated about that and, like you said, get in a rut, but kind of like I said earlier, it's a bad situation, but just keeping yourself there, you're not going to get out of it. Like, you just got to keep pushing through that. And on the flip side, there's been other videos that have just been, like, thrown together, super easy, low-cost stuff that have done super well. So it's like, you never really know what's going to work out unless you try it. So you got to always be open-minded and willing to try different things, I think.
Dude, and that's, you are so right, because one of the most popular videos that I've had on YouTube was literally a cell phone video I took of the end of the Freedom 500. Yeah. And I posted it. There was zero editing. There was nothing. It was just raw cell phone video. And I mean, my videos, I usually take my time. I go through, I shoot, 4K, 120 frames per second, super buttery smooth B-roll, the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, so this is the video that gets attention, not any of the cool stuff that I've done.
Right.
You gain followers that way too, and people that, you may not have seen before.
Yeah.
May not have found your channel. So.
Right. Yeah, I remember like one of the early videos I did last year in 2023 was I went to King of the Hammers and I co-drove with my friend Cody Martin. And that was like the first time I've had to like overlay audio and really take, multiple cameras and try and put something together. Like, it's still to this day probably the most labor intensive edit I've done compared to other stuff that I've done that's just been thrown together. Like, it just didn't perform how I had hoped it would. So it's just, but with that, I mean, that was an awesome opportunity. I got to meet a bunch of different people and the whole experience was crazy. Like, I'd love to get back out there and do that again. So, again, it just comes back to, while the video itself might not have done the best, like, the whole experience was super cool. The relationships I developed there were incredible and have helped me in, other ways outside of just getting views off of a YouTube video.
You're a regular at pretty big events like that. Cletus, like most of the Cletus events you attend and that you're at. Tell me kind of about that experience, going to an event like that and exactly the kind of people that you run into, the kind of people you hang out with. I was at the Freedom 500 the beginning of last year. Man, that was just such a cool experience for me, like with Travis Pastrana. Like I watched that guy since I was, 12 years old. And to hang out with him and him to just be super cool and treat us like we've known each other forever. Those experiences to me are some of the coolest part about being involved in the off-road industry, doing things like that. So
pretty much everyone I've encountered in those situations have just been super genuine people. Like you said, you grow up watching everyone and, doing cool things, and then suddenly you're on a racetrack with them and, you're out competing with these people that you grew up watching. It's insane. But kind of like I said, the relationships in those events, like making them and getting to just talk with people about just BS is like one of the coolest things. And like people that are fans of yours, like that's super fulfilling too, when you can talk to people that like appreciate what you've done, hard work you've put into something, just getting to talk to them about that stuff. That's like the best part about those events. Obviously, it's cool for the competition aspect of it and the thought of being able to win a big trophy and stuff, but nothing's really cooler than getting to talk to like-minded people and people that appreciate what you do and, look up to you. So
those people they're always so helpful. You can ask them questions about, growing your audience or connecting with people, pretty much about anything, and everybody's willing to, help you out and kind of tell you what works for them and, give you some of their ideas. Ooh, that was a neat one.
Yeah, pretty much everybody just wants to see other people succeed, which is super cool. They don't look at it as a competition in the space. They just look at it as, opportunity for everyone, which I think is, the big brain way to do it. Not like there's only so much time that those people have. I got to try and do better than someone else. It's like when you all work together in a symbiotic way, I think it's better for everyone. So
yeah, and you don't see that in many other industries either. A lot of times people are battling themselves, or with other people. And I've always been a huge proponent of, you get so much farther working together than, trying to fight against each other all the time.
Right.
If you had to choose only one category in the power sports world and have to stick with it, what would you choose? Would you pick the automobile segments of things, or would you pick the off-road segment of things, and why? Today's Talkin Side-by-Side episode is brought to you by 3starutv.com. It's one of the leading manufacturers of windshields and enclosures in the industry. 3starutv.com has got you covered no matter your brand. From Arctic Cat to Yamaha, they do it all. They also manufacture a wide variety of products, from hard doors to lower doors to tinted roofs to skid plates and so much more. Manufactured in the heart of the USA in Carlisle, Kentucky, everything is sourced and made right here. So whether you need a mesh enclosure for the summer to help keep out dust and debris, windshields or skid plates to keep you protected on the trail, or a full enclosure, here at 3-Star UTV, got you covered.
That's super tough for me to answer because, I grew up, what I guess kind of fueled my desire to get into power sports was automotive stuff. So I've always been into cars. Working with my dad when I was a kid, he taught me a lot of things. So it'd be hard for me to get out of the automotive stuff. I guess when it comes to filming things, they're both super fulfilling for me, as I'm both passionate about them. I think the off-road space has a little bit more, area of opportunity for growth, as there's not as many people doing power sports things compared to automotive stuff. I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know if I can give you a 100% answer on that. I think most of the people know me from power sports and off-road stuff.
Right.
Most of my audience is comprised from people who learned about me or met me through that avenue, so it's hard to say. I guess I'd probably say power sports, but I also like boat stuff too. Like some of my most viewed content has been boat stuff, which that's definitely probably the highest entry point hobby that you can get, I feel. Yeah. But I don't think there's a lot of people out there in that segment making content about it. So that's kind of something I've consider doing as well, but like I said, the cost to get into that area is extremely high compared to automotive or power sports stuff.
Yeah, compared to everything, it's expensive.
Yeah.
I owned a boat once, and I won't own a boat again until all my kids are gone out of the house. I've got, some disposable income.
It's definitely cheaper to have a buddy that has a boat and enjoy the fruits of his labor and just keep it filled up with fuel for him. So.
Obviously, you've started a new channel. I don't want to necessarily go into specifics on why that happened. How it's going for you? Like, how you glad to be on your own?
Oh, I enjoy what I do, definitely. It is extremely tough to do business with friends. I guess, I don't know, I can elaborate on that more. I can also not elaborate on that more, but when you're working with multiple people who kind of have different visions about how things should be and what avenues you should be taking in order to grow what you're doing, it makes things hard. And the more people you add into that, the harder it gets. So yeah, I'll definitely say I'm in the position I'm in. I enjoy it a lot more. It's probably more fulfilling for me. My buddy Kyle, who I work with on a lot of things, like it's just enjoyable to work with him. I kind of have high standards when it comes to stuff like that. Like we were talking about the drive earlier. I definitely would like to be in a better position as far as, the views, subscribers, all that stuff. But again, I mean, you kind of just have to, it's a slow grind type thing. So I think you just kind of have to stay at it. And for me, it's been extremely important to just do what I like. I think the fake it till you make it kind of idea, I mean, maybe that works for some people, but it's not something I can really get behind as, my personality doesn't really mesh with that. So what you see is what you get kind of with me. So some of the stuff I do has been, more popular than others, but at least what I'm doing, you can, know when you watch it that I'm at least enjoying myself or I find it interesting. Maybe not everybody is going to, but it's just always been, important to me to not push fake things, to be genuine, just do what you like type thing, and that's kind of what I'm going to just stick with doing. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, that's for sustainable, something long-term, that's the best way to go about it.
Well, just having the freedom, man, to do what you want to do. And, like you said, when you start adding and involving multiple people and, not everybody's on the same page and everybody has different ideas. It's hard to work through that. And, people build up resentments and don't like to, sometimes they don't like to talk about how certain things make them feel, and they hold that kind of stuff in, and that ends up erupting normally over something small. It's unfortunate because it ruins friendships, and you hate to see stuff like that happen. This is life, and those things do happen.
I literally cannot agree with you anymore. Just based off what you said, I think especially it comes to communicating in situations like that. And communicating in life in general, I think, is so important. And like you said, people sometimes don't want to express how they actually feel about things because the certain thing or a certain point in time, what is rubbing them the wrong way might not be something super big. But as you said, when all that stuff gets bottled up for so long, it just turns into a much bigger problem. And yes. I mean, you can say that about literally any relationship in life, not just making YouTube videos with your buddies. I don't think there's hardly anything more powerful in the world than the ability to communicate and talk with people. The way you convey your messaging, make you or break you, essentially. So it's extremely important. I've screwed up many times in life, not just with not just tipping over side by sides, many other ways. And you look back and you're like, wow, that was stupid. I guess if there's anything else that I could provide to people other than being funny and talking about cheeseburgers, it would be to try and learn from mistakes that I've made or hard situations that I've had to go through due to whether it be mistakes or missed opportunities or bad situations you put yourself in. I think that's one of the most powerful thing that people that make content regularly can and probably should convey to people that watch and look up to them is not just show the victories, show your losses too. These people look up to you, and I think it's important to, show when you do get humbled sometimes. So these people that are supporting you, hopefully not make the same mistakes that you've made too.
When you're not just posting the awesome fun, people they want to see that, those same issues that they have, those same problems that they have. How much better to relate to somebody than to know that you're going through the same stuff they are.
Yeah. Life is hard inherently. It's not an easy thing. Everyone struggles with their own stuff. What a situation that one person may view as minuscule is tough for someone else. So I think it's important to be able to empathize with what people go through.
Can you speak on the relationships that you have now, the former channel?
I'll say there isn't much of a relationship with the majority of people that I have made videos with or worked with, so it's a tough deal. The, I guess, perspective of doing wrong and not treating people correctly is kind of different. So
right.
It's not something I really want to dwell on type thing. I haven't really used that situation as a means to get views or followers. I did make a video recently. I attended the side-by-side blog race day, kind of after, talking it over with someone that arrested me at that event. I had a really nice conversation with Mike Reed, who I do have a lot of respect for. I don't know, it's just not really been in my cards to where I want to gain a following or have my thing, whatever I do, built off the back of someone else. I'd rather just kind of go out and do what I do, and if it's cool, hey, glad you guys like it. If it's not, I'm doing what I like to do, so I'll go back and watch it myself at some point. So
I think most people have nothing but massive amounts of respect for you for that, because that's not always the case. People don't always take the higher road. They don't always treat it that way. It's easy to feed into the drama nowadays, man, because drama gets more attention than anything. I can post 100 positive things. I'll post that one negative thing. It'll do better than those 100 posts combined. Yeah. So, to be able to take that high road and stay, loyal to yourself, loyal to your viewers, loyal to your fans, and, just to continue to do your own thing, man, that's, I have mad respect for you for that one.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're doing.
I don't know. It seems like we're going to start bashing some stuff, which, I'm not opposed to that.
Right. Let me ask you, have you watched the new Mud Madness show on Discovery?
I have not. There's a couple different areas of off-roading that I haven't really done a whole lot of. One of which is mud stuff, and the other is rock stuff, slow, super technical stuff. I recently fractured my thumb at an event that I was at doing some rock stuff, but I was kind of trying to incorporate some of my go fast bash stuff with. You mix that kind of stuff in, and it didn't really mesh. So yeah, I haven't done a lot of mud stuff. The mud stuff I have done, I've just ended up ruining my stuff. So, I don't know. I just kind of stick to high speed stuff. I have seen some people that I'm familiar with on there, so I would like to check it out.
It's an interesting series. Obviously, it's for television. Some added dramatics and things like that, but. For the most part, it runs pretty true to, how events go. They have to have somebody play the heel, obviously, because you can't have a show without intro conflict resolution type thing. That's how they program all of them. The guy that plays the heel, I think probably overdid it a little bit, but, it's reality television and it is what it is. But, people like, my buddy Bryce Sparks, who's better known as Whiskey Biz, he's, getting some major attention, and he's by far the best one on that show. You could tell just on camera. Him and AJ Robertson, who has the most massive four-wheeler I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. It is gigantic. It's like the largest four-wheeler in the world or something like that. Yeah. Other than that, it's all right. I was nervous about it, honestly, because I was kind of worried how they were going to portray World, because, most people think we're just uneducated hillbillies, and That's some of it, but that's not all. That's not all of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're, you know, there's some of us that are educated hillbillies. So.
I think to be in off-road, like, you have to have at least a certain percentage of that, like, in you, you know, so.
When did you get your first off-road machine?
I had, like, dirt bikes and stuff growing up, but my first side-by-side I got in 2014. It was, like, August of 2014. August or September. It was an Arctic Wildcat, man. If you guys are trying to buy a machine, I'd advise you to not buy an OG Arctic Wildcat. I don't know if I can say that. You can edit it out if I can't. If you like working on stuff and spending money, that's the machine for you. Spending money on not fun things.
Right.
You know? I spent a lot of money on this on fun things, not fun things for the Arctic Wildcat.
I got my first four-wheeler when I was 6. It was a little Yamaha 90. And, man, I was just addicted ever since.
Yeah.
I was pretty fortunate. I grew up out in the middle of nowhere on 350 acres of woods. And so, you know, that's all I did. I was just on my four-wheeler constantly.
I had a Yamaha 90 TTR as a dirt bike when I was growing up, and I put a ton of miles around our 2-acre lot where we got our family shop on and stuff. Drove the wheels off of that thing. But even before that, like, my dad had this Yamaha golf cart. I think it's a G1. And, man, I put probably 1,000 miles on that golf cart just making laps around that property. Like, I would drive it so much it didn't have, like, any cushioned seats on it. I would drive it so much, like, it'd be in the middle of summer, and it would get so hot that, like, the back of my legs would start burning from the engine. So,
Right.
I mean... I started out with that stuff, and then as I got older, you know, cars became cooler and stuff like that, and then, you know, your buddies get into power sports, like side-by-sides and stuff like that, then you're like, oh, okay, now I need one of those. So it's just like anything else, slippery slope type thing. It always escalates into something more expensive. So.
Right. I know. Actually, I'm looking at. I want to get a big Defender HD10. The Defender Max, and start doing this with multiple guests on the trail. You need something that's big and enclosed. It's got heat and air, so everybody's comfortable, you know. But yeah, just you know, more expensive machines, the Maverick car. I'd love to just drive one of those. Have you been in one of those yet?
Yeah. I've been in one once. A deal where I borrowed it from my friends at Whalen Speed, and they had like a little short set up at Silverback Off-Road Speedway, which is up in Mears, Michigan, kind of by Silver Lake. Kind of trying to feel it out a little bit, and some parts came off. They kind of ejected themselves into the tire, and it broke. So it's definitely a machine that I do want to spend some more time in. I think the DCT is a super cool feature of that machine. Yeah, I'd definitely like to get into one. I love the way they look. I think they're super cool. I think Can-Am really stepped up their game, you know, the displays and stuff like that, stuff that Polaris has kind of been ahead on them for a few years, and I think they really turned it up with that machine. So, yeah, it's very cool.
Do you think we'll see an X3 redesign anytime soon?
Oh, that's hard to say. I think it's hard to say. I don't know. I think that this X3, like, you know, since they came out in 2017, I think Can-Am's made a lot of valuable improvements to them while still keeping the core good things. But this machine, even in stock form, I love driving this thing. This is my favorite X3, the Smart Shocks 2-seat X3. The 4-seat versions of them, super good as well, but I love this thing. I'm not sure outside of, you know, having some more creature comforts, like a better display and, you know, maybe like the ride command style setup like a Polaris had, there's not a whole lot I would change on these things out of the box. I think they're very good.
It's hard to improve on where they're at now, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm noticing your Whalen Speed switch there on the dash for your launch control. I know Whalen is a huge name in the off-road industry, you know, when it comes to tuning and built motors and things like that. They've been a huge supporter of your channel. Tell us a little bit about, you know, that relationship and, you know, just what you think of Mr. Whalen himself.
Yeah, those guys, ever since I started doing this by myself at the beginning of 2023, you know, I had other relationships with past ventures, just kind of how things work, you know, didn't really work with me type thing. These guys and I had kind of started a conversation about ways that we could help each other out, and it's been nothing short of great working with those guys. They're a local Michigan company. me. They're about 3.5 hours away from where I live, and I've made I don't know how many trips down to visit those guys, to work on this, to work on Kyle's machine. They've been a huge supporter of me, and I can't thank those guys enough. They're definitely at their core a group of guys that just like seeing things go fast, and really push the limits on how things can perform. They're racers at heart. They're passionate about what they do, and they're very good at what they do. They try and develop things that may not currently exist in the market and improve upon things that do exist. I've loved working with those guys. I have nothing but the utmost respect for them, and super cool to be around. Anytime I've gone over there, it's like you're talking to your buddy that you've known for a dozen years. So it's super cool hanging out with those guys. We got some mud in front of us.
Yes, we do. Did he ever get his clutch cover?
Yeah, he's got that. I don't know. I'm hoping Brian he might move up a little bit. Yeah, he's just chilling there. There we go.
There you go.
We might get a little moist here, but
that's all right. It's a mud park. It happens.
It turns out that wasn't bad at all. He made it look way worse.
He did.
He was just Miss Daisying it through there. I'm like, I'm not going to stay in here. I'm getting out of this thing.
On an off day, when you're not doing YouTube, when you're not, traveling to go to an event or to come do something like this, what's the ideal off day for you?
My dad retired when he was like 45 years old. He worked at GM, and he always said growing up, like, ever since he retired, he's never had a day off. And I think you can say the same thing about being self-employed or being a part of a small business, especially when it comes to YouTube. Like, there really is no day off. There really is no weekends. I mean, there's obviously fun stuff you get to do. I'm always working on something, whether it be customer side-by-sides or customer cars or, doing stuff on my own. Like, it's just very busy. It's very chaotic. And I think I've really tried to tone in on time management, because obviously there's endless amount of money to be made out there, but you can't create more time. So really using your time to the best of your ability, what I think is the most important thing, and really has to be toned in on, and you have to be disciplined with if you want to make something like this work, or want to make anything on your own work, really.
Okay, so how do you deal with negative criticism or blowback on your pages?
Honestly, I haven't really gotten a lot of it over the past year. It's obviously a lot of unanswered stuff that I think people are probably due to be heard, and some people are kind of upset about. You kind of sometimes will have people say that something you do is clickbaity, which is like very mild. Like, that doesn't really bother me. I mean, right. Hopefully they understand that the way this stuff works is by getting views, so I mean, you gotta do that sometimes. There's some people that'll say, like, some of the stuff that I've done is dumb or stupid or a waste of money, and, it's sometimes easy to get bothered by that, when it's something that you find fulfilling but maybe hasn't performed super well, so you almost, like, think, man, maybe what they're saying, there is some merit to that, but right. I think at the end of the day, if what you're doing is providing you fulfillment and enjoyment, it's not stupid. It's not up to anyone else to determine what is stupid or what isn't stupid when it comes to stuff that, you have fun doing. Most of the time I just blow it off, or I turn it into a joke or something like that. Sometimes it's fun to argue with people a little bit, but that's just the nature of the stuff. So I've never really lost sleep over what anyone said, because anyone that is kind of being negative like that isn't next to you, fighting with you to make yourself better. It's one thing when it's constructive criticism, and, it's people that want to see you do better, but right. When it comes to just people making stupid comments to make them, it's just like, I don't want to say, what do you have, or what are you doing, but most of the time it's guys with 3 subscribers on their YouTube channel, and there's a picture or a video they posted of their cat laying in the sun, which, I mean, I respect, but you're not out here building the stuff that we're building, so.
Right. Who's the coolest person you've met in the off-road industry?
It is super hard to attribute that to one person, kind of like what we talked about earlier. It's like, all those guys that you meet at the major events and stuff like that, they're just so genuine, so cool, and, a lot of them are pointing to some other route. It's like you can talk about different life experiences with,
there's a turtle.
There's a turtle there. Should we go save him?
Maybe.
Yeah, he's just chilling. I don't want to bother that guy.
Yeah, he's just trying to get out. Fun fact, my wife is terrified of turtles.
Really?
Yes. I don't
Is there
know
some
what...
sort of traumatic experience to be attributed to that, or just don't like them?
She just don't like them.
Really?
She thinks they're secretly fast or something. Real sure.
You know, alligators are fast.
Yeah, bro.
Those suckers run like 30 miles an hour.
I think I was supposed to ask you what's your obsession with alligators.
Man, is this censored or not? Is this like... No, okay.
No, you're good.
Oh, okay. It's an inside joke. If you want to put this in there, you can. I don't really care. But, you know, there's certain situations that, you know, you just don't want to do, right? Like, and some people, you know, ask questions about, when are you going to do this? Or when are you going to do that? Or, you know, when are you going to do this with them? Sometimes it's just like, man, I don't want to do that. And, like, they don't really understand. I try to use the analogy, I'd rather get a from an alligator than do that. So
that's pretty bad. Are you going to do some short course stuff?
Yeah. So that's something I always really enjoyed, and I feel like, you know, this X3 in its current configuration would do so well either at like Ultra 4 type stuff. Obviously, it would need a little bit more equipment to work in a situation like that, specifically in like the safety department. I've done like county fair races and stuff, and this thing just kills it. But my problem is I have a tendency to like break this thing every time I take it out in some way, shape, or form. And so I would like to do something like that as soon. I haven't really found anything super local that has been like occurring when I have free time. So that's been a thing too. That's just something, man. Racing is just like, I love racing. Basically any form. It's just, it is so easy for me to just sit in the seat of this thing or basically anything else. Forget about everything else that's going on, you know? Like Toretto says, dude, live your life quarter mile at a time.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Those 10 seconds or less, dude.
Right. That's what I really love about off-roading is, man, when I'm behind that wheel, I can feel the vibration of this machine and the smells, just everything.
Yeah.
I completely forget about all of the problems of the world for that amount of time. And
I feel you there.
It's the most like peace that my brain gets. So I'm not, you know, I've done some like rock stuff down in Tennessee, like the slow technical things. That's not really what I enjoy doing. I enjoy, you know, trail riding, fast ripping, that kind of thing, because I like to relax when I ride. And, you know, doing that slow technical, you know, you're on the side of a mountain looking down 300 feet. That's not That's not relaxing, bro. That's a little stressful. So my buddy Julian from Adrenaline Junkie, man, that's what they love to do.
Yeah.
He said his episode goes live later today, and he said, we don't care if we go 3 miles in 8 hours.
That's like a whole different art. Like, you know, obviously these machines are super capable and can do a lot of stuff. And I've always been like the guy that likes going fast, the racing stuff, but the slow technical stuff, there's an art to that. You know, it's just like anything else. Like, you got to be able to be good at doing that stuff. It's not like you can just go out there and go up this stuff if you don't know what you're doing. A few months ago, went to Windrock and took this out there, and I mean, I'm not a rock guy by any means, so it wasn't very long before I had an axle and front differential like leave the chat. So
doesn't take much out there.
No, dude, it's brutal. It is brutal. That stuff is so hard on stuff.
Brian's about to break something right now. He picked the craziest route out of here.
You think we can do it without backing up? I don't know.
Well, we're about to find out. Oh,
did he say he comes here all the time?
That's what he said. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we probably got 10, 15 minutes left, but this is the longest episode yet.
I'm having a great time, dude. I think you got great questions. I mean,
thank you.
You're an enjoyable dude to be around.
Thank you.
You're not freaking out. You're just like, do whatever you want. That's cool, man. I think this is a good segment that you put on.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this whole concept, man, and I just really hope that people enjoy it, and I think they will. It's something completely different than everything else in the off-road world right now as far as video content. It's nice to get to know you guys like outside of your channel on the camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that was kind of the whole point and purpose in this was, I just think people will enjoy this. It's something different than all the other off-road content that's out there. You know, off-roading is something that I love to do, and people like you and other channels that I have watched for, you know, years and years, like to be able to, you know, to meet you guys and to be able to sit here next to you and ask you questions, like it's such a cool experience for me. And, you know, I hope it's a cool for everyone else too. These Cardo headsets make it super easy to feel like you are right along the ride with us, you know. So
now there definitely is something, I think, to getting to know people, you know, to go back to talking about like relationships and stuff that have been made since doing this, you know, all the social media stuff. Majority of people that do the stuff are just super genuine, and the same people you see on video, that's how they are when you talk to them. So, I mean, that's super cool. I think it, you know, obviously there are people that put on a show and act to some degree. It's pretty hard to be fake, I feel like. You can only keep that up for so long before it catches up to you. So, it's just, I think, really important to be genuine. And like I said, I think for the long term, that's the best way to go about doing whatever you do, is just keep being genuine, keep doing stuff you like, keep being who you are, and don't try and change just to, you know, appeal someone else. You know, do your own thing.
Between, like, let's say between this machine, the Badlands, the Ghoul, what's been your favorite build so far?
I would say my favorite car that I've built has been, I've got a 2006 Ford Crown Victoria that I put a 4.8 LS style engine in. It's got a 78 millimeter turbo on it. It's got a turbo 400 trans with a trans brake, and it's on like 24 pounds of boost. It makes like 750 to the tire on a Mustang dyno. It's just, it's like a shitbox looking car. You know, it's not a nice car on the outside, but it's like the true definition of a sleeper. I've always been into junk cars. Like, junk cars are, if I could make videos about junk cars all day, like, I would love to do that, man. Like, that's just like, that's like my, I don't know. I just love being able to beat on stuff and not care about it. You know, drive it wherever you want. Don't worry about door dings and stuff like that. And to have a car that, you know, meets that criteria and is also pretty dang fast, it's, I just really enjoy that thing. It's been honestly pretty reliable for the most part too. It's I really enjoy that. I really enjoy Cadillac too. That's kind of just coming into a stage where it can be driven on the road and stuff like that. So I haven't gotten to do a ton of other things other than burnouts with it. I did have it out at Oklahoma Crossbar Ranch. Side by Side USA had their event there. And we drove it around. We took it up rock face and stuff like that, which is super fun. That's been super reliable for the most part, too. The engine that I've had in it for a while, unfortunately, just kind of left the chat, so I've got to get that swapped out. But it's just like, you know, unique stuff that not everyone else does. Like, that's my favorite stuff. I obviously love this machine. Everything else that I have, I get a lot of satisfaction from operating. But the junk cars, I love junk cars. It's just, I always have loved junk cars. So that's my thing.
So for the last question, it's going to be a pretty easy one. Well, it might not be an easy one, but the question is easy. I've asked this the first two interviews. I forgot to ask the last one, but I'm going to try to ask this every interview. If your off-road life had a theme song, what would it be?
Wow.
I know.
I do got to think about that. Dang. Off-road life had a theme song. I thought he said this was going to be an easy one. This is tough. I might need a minute to think about that.
Well, I'm
not like super good with song names either. Like, I like music, but you know, it's like one of those deals where you can know the lyrics in your head, but you kind of forget the song name too. So
I'll tell you, the other two guys basically said that they would have to think about it, and then they'd leave it in the comments.
That's fair.
Of the video.
Fair.
So,
I'm in for that.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. It's a little bumpy right now. Thanks for tuning in to Talkin Side by Side. This has been an awesome episode with Rick Spencer from Rich Rules. If you haven't yet, check out Rich Rules YouTube. Where else can they find you at, buddy?
I'm on Instagram. My Instagram name is Rick Spencer with 2 R's at the front, 2 R's at the back. I'm on Facebook as Rick Spencer. I'd love for you guys to come along on this journey. I'd greatly appreciate your support in this matter.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for getting time out of your busy schedule to do this with me today. Hopefully we get to do this again.
Hey, glad to be a part of it. I'd love to.
Awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in to Talking Side by Side. We will do in the next.
I'm very appreciative, and I try to take, I don't take anything for granted.
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
Like, just like I really appreciate you taking the time to come do this.
Yeah,
I'm not even.
what happened? We're clean.
Zach called me up and asked me if I wanted to go, and that really f***ed the deal for me after that trip. This is a pretty crazy story, yes. I didn't know nobody. I had no friends.